conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping and Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian switched me over the other side. There we go. Thank you all for being here. What day is it? Thursday morning. Also, almost said Monday there. Caio Borralho joins us, of course. Caio, how are you, brother?
I'm very good, brother. Honored to be here with you, talking with you, man. I'm very good, Cutting weight, cutting weight. Today's the cutting day, but everything is doing awesome. My cutting is going perfect, so everything good.
I do not miss cutting weight. That is one thing. I mean, listen, you are in great shape. You take your top off, you're ripped, you've got the six pack and everything. But I tell you what, I'm always trying to lose a few pounds, but I do not miss sitting in the sauna and all that stuff. How many pounds have you got to cut?
I think right now I got to cut like 6 pounds, 7 pounds. It's all good.
That's easy. No problem.
It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you're joining us because you got number one, you're undefeated in the UFC, 16-1 overall, 6-fight win streak in the UFC. And this Saturday, the main event, your first main event against Jared Cannonier. So this is a huge fight for you, Caio. How are you feeling leading up to this one?
Man, I feel great about this fight, about this opportunity. I think it's the best opportunity of my life until now, and I think I deserve this opportunity, Michael, because I've been doing a great work inside the octagon, outside the octagon, and I always wanted to face the toughest guy on the division. I think Jared's one of those guys, very experienced guy. So I think a win over here will put my name even higher and even in a discussion for our next title contender or something like that, So very excited about this fight.
Oh, without question. And this is actually a really good card. A lot of people like to talk shit on the Apex cards, but this is a really, really good card, and it's a solid main event. Jared, of course, fought for the belt. As I said before, you've won 6 fights in a row now. So do you see this fight? You beat Jared, then you're right there in title contention?
Yeah, I think so, because there's a lot of contenders on the top 5. There's Strickland, there's Brandon Allen, there's some other guys. So Dricus won and all this, but I think the division needs a new face, a new breed, something like that. And I already called out Dricus like 2 times, and he answered me on the X, on the Twitter. He said that, okay, kid, you go there. Get 2 more wins and then we can talk. I already got 3 more wins after that. After beating Jared, and if I beat Jared in an extremely good fashion, like knocking him out or finishing him, like I don't see any other guy doing this. Although him involved, but it was early stoppers in my opinion. So he never been finished. I think me in the conversation of the next contender for sure. The mantra of this training camp for me is to show everyone the new champion arrived. So I'm the one.
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned Dricus there, because I've seen you've been a little critical of Dricus. You said props to him. I need to congratulate this guy because he has bad technique, bad game plans, a crazy style. And funnily enough, Dana White even said the other day that he fights like a white guy dances.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's a strange style, He's when you see he fighting, he's so bad on the feet, he just close himself and just throw hands walking forward, with no distance control or anything like that. But the thing is, he make it work. He make it work. I don't want people to get me wrong that I'm criticizing him, but because I'm also congratulating him because it make it work, So definitely a fight that I want,
Oh, yeah, without question. We're all here to be a champion. Your team, the Fighting Nerds, is doing phenomenal things. And as I said, 6-0 in the UFC. You beat Jared. I think you're right there. Now, here's why I find you so interesting, Caio, because looking at you now, you're a cool guy. You've got the neck tattoos, you've got the shades on, take the glasses off. Are the nerdy glasses on underneath? Oh, there they are.
Always.
Where's the Band-Aid? Where's the plaster in the middle?
Oh, it's the other one. It's the other one. No, but I cannot see with the other one. You know.
So you wear the glasses because you need the glasses, right?
Yeah. I wear glasses since I was 3 years old.
What about when you're fighting? Because, dude, if I take these things off, I'm blind in one eye. The one eye that I do have doesn't work very well. What about when you're fighting in the octagon? No problem?
No problem, because I have myopia. You know, it's for far away. You know, so when it's close, like in the distance of the ring range, in the octagon range, I can see everything. It's all good.
Okay. Well, you're going to get the shades back on. Come on. We need the cool Caio. Now, here's why you're interesting. You're a cool guy. You got the neck tattoos. You're undefeated in the UFC. But you, before being a professional fighter, you were a chemistry teacher and a history teacher. That is not normally the background for the UFC average fighter.
Yeah, I was math teacher and chemistry teacher. Yeah. When I was young, because, you know, my grandpa, he was a math teacher, and then there was a day that he needed to go out in the middle of the class, and then he came to me and said, "Oh, do you know how to teach this subject?" I was like, "Oh, I think I can teach this." And then he came to me and said, "Okay, so you're gonna teach these guys that." I was like 15 years old. I was always good with numbers and math and all this stuff, so that's the way I started. That's how I made money when I was like 15 to 16, 17 years old. Then I started to study chemistry, and I fell in love right away on chemistry. I was studying, I was in the first year of the high school, but I was already studying subjects from the second year, the third year. And then I went to college and almost graduated in chemistry school. So I always like it, you know. Right now, I cannot remember that much things, you know, like I'm 10 years without reading anything about it and something like that. But in my younger age, I used to give class to my guys on the college, and on the school. I lost the count of times that people came to my house to have class with me, you know. So I was like a nerd back in the days.
So the name works perfectly. You know, I just went into my son's bedroom this morning. He's studying to start a course in his master's degree, and he's actually studying now. He's doing advanced algebra. I walked in, I looked at what he was doing. I was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" I'm like, "How's it going, son?" He's like, "Yeah, not good. Look at this." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I've got nothing to offer." So do you find that having, you know, because obviously clearly you're an intelligent guy, you know, and the sport of mixed martial arts it's human chess, right? That's the comparison they always make. Do you find that having, you know, a higher intellect than the average fighter, do you think that helps you in the octagon?
Yeah, definitely. I think the higher IQ and, you know, and being intelligent on the octagon, it always comes out with being less emotional there, you know, because when you're more like study a guy that will study more the numbers, the data, the patterns that your opponent presents to yourself and all this thing, you can take issues that we have that bother us inside the octagon, you know, sometimes makes us do bad things inside the octagon, do some mistakes, you know. So I think it definitely helps me, because my approach of the fight game is more a cerebral approach than an emotional approach, you know. Like, don't get me wrong, for sure there's a lot of emotions, there's adrenaline, there's all that, but I think I can take it off a little bit and put more on like science approach, like human chess, as you said, you know. So I think it definitely helps me.
Yeah, no, you're lucky, because I was always over emotional. It took me until 30s to like start using my brain in the octagon. Do you know what I mean? Because I was always just like, let's just fight, you know. But you're absolutely right. Do you know who else was a math teacher in the UFC?
Who?
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
One of the first UFC middleweight champions, Rich Franklin.
Ooh, yeah, I think I heard about it. Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this big math teacher. No one would mess with him.
So at school you were a bit of you were a good kid. Were you getting into scraps, or were you like a nice, you know, controlled young man?
I was a kid full of fear, you know. I was never going to scraps. I was running out of fights in school, on the streets, and all kind of that. And maybe that's what makes me a fighter today, because I wanted to prove myself that I'm not that kid anymore. But I'm thankful for the kid that brought me here, that made who I am right now, made the fighter that I am right now, because when I was young, I was always a kid that couldn't control emotionally. Even when I get to arguments with someone, just like speaking, I like started to cry. I couldn't control myself. When someone like challenged me to fight in the street or something like that, I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm going home, so maybe I grew up with this tip on my mind, with this on my mind. And when I started martial arts, when I started like actually beating people up and all this stuff, I was like, man, I can do this shit. I can overcome my fears. I can do whatever the I want. I can control my emotions. So maybe that's my biggest force when I go in there and fight, and that's why I take all the emotions away and just keep it cerebral things.
That's really interesting. And when did that change for you? Because we hear a lot of fighters and were getting bullied when they were younger, like George St. Pierre is a classic case. I did as well, and that kind of like, fueled my anger when I was a child. I was a different way. But was it when you started martial arts that things started to change for you?
Yeah, I always did judo, but even though I was still the same kid. And then I started jiu-jitsu. Then I started to do good. I started to be confident on my skills. I started to work harder, And then something just changed, when I was like 19, 20 years old. And I started to beat people up in the training, like, of course, respectfully, but like beat people up in the training. And so I was like, oh, I can really do this, I'm good enough to do this and all this thing, And there was a day that I have my coach with me. His name is Wagner Mota. And these things back in the days, it really bothered me for a long time. Even when I was fighting, when I was like 6 or 7 fights, I was still having this anger about the kid that I was, the fearful kid that I was, And then he came to me and said, Caio, come on. I told him my story and all the stuff that I was bothering with that. And he came to me and said, close your eyes. I closed my eyes and he said, you can still see the same kid over there? I said, yeah, I can see. So get close to him. And then I said, okay, I got close to him. And then he said, okay, now you're going to hug him, thank him, and said that you enjoy the times that he been through, that these times make you the man that you are today, the person that you are today that inspires people. So forgive him, so you can release yourself of that shit. And then after that, man, I'm free of this. That's why this tattoo, free spirit, I'm a free spirit now,
Wow, that makes sense, and that's really deep, and that's beautiful of your coach. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I want you to close your eyes, and in your mind, you can see Jared Cannonier. You're in the octagon. It's Saturday night. You can hear my voice. I'm commentating, so I can't make a prediction. How does this fight go down? And in a perfect world, what happens Saturday night? How do you finish this guy?
Bisping, I'm finishing him with an amazing performance, like a mature performance. That's what I need to show the UFC, a mature performance against a top contender. For sure, I'm looking for the KO or for submitting him. But the perfect way is that I'm going to go there, be on his face all the time, put some jabs on him, get some good defense, and then catch him with a good counter punch. That's the perfect situation. But anything can happen in this level of the game. You know that.
Yeah, no, of course. And so in the perfect world, you get the stoppage, you get on the microphone, and then what is the message to Dricus? Because that's what you've got to do. You've got to send the message to the champ and say, bro, I'm coming. You suck. Your words, not mine.
Exactly. I'm going to say exactly that. Like I'm willing to face the strangest guy in the division, and I'm willing to beat his ass. That's what I'm going to say, because I've been calling out him 2 times already. So I think the 3rd time the UFC going to hear me after a great picture on Cannonier.
Okay. Well, listen, mate, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. Best of luck on Saturday. I've loved watching your career. I'll see you at the Apex, and who knows, maybe I'll talk to you in the octagon. Thank you, Caio.
Take care.
All right, and there he is, the one and only Caio Borralho, replaced by a much more of a downgrade in terms of coolness. Where's your neck tattoo, Harrington?
I got to work on that, man. I didn't know you could have a baby and a neck tattoo. Now that I know it's possible, I think the doors are wide open.
Yeah. Hey, that's really interesting how he explained the tattoo, because it's a ballsy move having free spirit tattooed across it, but it kind of makes sense. He is such a nice guy. I've met him several times now. I remember when Darren Till fought Dricus, we went back to this Airbnb and he was there with his friends and stuff. And he was just a great guy. And I see him around. So best of luck this weekend, Caio. It's funny because he said there about Dricus. And you put it in the notes because Dana did say, do we have a video, Brian, of what Dana said? Because Dana did say, Dricus du Plessis fights like a white guy dances. And I know me and Anthony had a conversation recently about us not dancing, primarily because we can't dance. But, that is an interesting take.
Yeah, no, for certain. But it's like, it's not far off either.
I thought that Israel looked incredible. Dricus is so awkward and unorthodox. He's got to be the toughest guy to train for. He fights like a white guy dances. It's so crazy and awkward, and you know what I mean? It's but very effective.
It certainly is effective. You cannot deny that. So fair play to Dricus du Plessis. We talked about that the other day, so we're not going to spend too much time on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know we've got a stacked show planned for you today. Of course, we just had Caio Borralho at 11. So in about 45 minutes, we're going to be joined by the champ, the one and only Suga Sean O'Malley. Of course, he takes on Merab Dvalishvili in the Sphere. But of course, Merab Dvalishvili was kind of making headlines the other day, and we'll play another clip of Dana because he was kind of pissed off because Merab got cut in training, and that happens, okay? Cuts, injuries happen all the time. But in this new age that we live in, and by the way, thank you all for being here live. I'm going to answer your questions as well. This new age that we're living in, the new generation that were born and raised with social media, they feel like everything's going to go on social media. When you're training for a fight, when you're training for a title fight, you do not put the fact that you got cut on social media. Now, granted, it was just a small little cut. You could say it was just a nick. And Merab's probably putting it on there saying, look at me, listen, this is what I go through. And he's got every right to do that, I guess. The only problem is that when you are training for a world championship fight, you're going up against a guy like Suga Sean O'Malley, who is a pinpoint accurate striker. And of course, from the UFC's perspective, they're spending millions and millions of dollars. It's the most expensive show they've ever put on. It goes down in 3 weeks. And the main event is all over Instagram. Brian, roll that tape of Dana White because he was pissed.
What do you know about Merab's cut? Can you make any?
The whole world knows about Merab's cut. He posted it. Our guys are so dumb. It's next level, unbelievable. It's all the stuff that I talk about boxing. What I will give boxing is when something happens in a camp, man. Let me tell you what, it does not leak. Our guys can't wait to throw it up on social media. It's a small cut. It's no big deal, but obviously needed to be posted.
Against a guy like O'Malley, who is a sharpshooter and who's a very accurate puncher, now all of a sudden there's a big target for him.
And why the would you want him to know that?
Yeah, I mean, why would you want him to know that? You can't argue. You can't argue with that logic. You really can't. From Merab's point of view, he's probably like, listen, cuts happen in training. I've been cut many, many times. I probably didn't think it was that big of a deal. But if you're promoting it and you're like, oh, my God, this guy, the main event is out there posting that he's cut. It's just not smart. Boxers, they never do that. Fighters usually hide injuries. I hid the fact that I had one eye for many years. You don't go out there and brag about it.
Not to mention that episode where you were noticeably eating a bag of Lay's potato chips during fight week to cover the
When
fact
was that?
When you that was the justification for the ice that was on your ribs before you fought GSP. We were
Yeah.
audio only, so you were like, yeah, Mike's eating some chips, and it's like you hear the bag of ice crinkling against your busted ribs. It's like you do
that's right.
anything to hide it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Right before the George St. Pierre fight, tore all the cartilage in my ribs. That was a goddamn nightmare. Anyway, so we'll talk to Sean O'Malley about that. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick, as we're taking this show live, there's been a bit of confusion because the live videos go in the live section of the YouTube channel. And I got a lot of DMs from people saying, hold on a minute, where's it gone? You can only watch it live. They didn't realize that you got to click the live tab on the channel. So what we will be doing is doing the lives like we are now. And then Brian, at the old upload time of 9 p.m. Pacific on the Monday and the Thursday, an edited version of this will go up on the regular video channel. So just that's what we're going to do for now, going forward until we get some advice from people that know about this stuff. Anyway, let's get into a real subject here. The Sphere. I can't wait for that one. One of the main events that people talked about, of course, for that one was Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria, right? Topuria put out some footage this week and he's looking absolutely brutal. And he says that if Max points to the ground and keeps the same energy in the last 10 seconds of every round, that he will knock out the Hawaiian in the first round. I mean, the man's brimming with confidence.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, it's there is a certain aura about a guy like that, right? Like when you get to a certain point where you finished as many guys you have, I think the only one who's ever taken him to decision was Josh Emmett, and there was a legit 10-7 round in that fight. So it's like he has known absolutely nothing but domination so far in his UFC career. Why wouldn't he think that? But
yeah,
I do know a lot of guys who were pretty cocky before they fought Max Holloway, who were singing a much different tune after the fight.
Yeah, but the thing is with Topuria, of course, he beat Volkanovski, that beat Holloway 3 times. And some of those wins, people debate them. The reality is Volkanovski beat Holloway 3 times. So that's going to give you a lot of confidence. But the chin of Max Holloway is absolutely legendary. We all know that, right? And he took the best shots from Justin Gaethje. In fact, he didn't actually take that many shots flush because he was just on point. But what do you do to somebody that's got a great chin? It's the oldest trick in the book. I'm sure there's a Rocky quote out there that talks about it. You go to the body. You rip to the body, son. And that is exactly what Ilia Topuria, he put a video out this week, Brian, roll tape, where he's just dropping sparring partners one after the other. I mean, we didn't see the start, but there he is. There's no sound, Bright. Give us a bit of sound.
There's a copyrighted song under it.
Oh, there is. Well, then don't give us any sound, Bright. That's not a body shot. That is a good old-fashioned crucifix. There he is, a couple of body shots there. Oh, the thing is about Topuria, man, he's unbelievable. I mean, he started off wrestling. The wrestling is phenomenal. The hands are ridiculous. To knock out Volkanovski the way that he did. Where is that fight going to take place? They announced it. Is that Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, that's 308 in Abu Dhabi.
308 Abu Dhabi. So when's that? October. So we're still months out yet. Yeah. Still months. Topuria, come on, jump on the show, brother. Come on. Don't be giving it the big ones with your red wine and your belts. Speaking of belts, it's belter because the BMF title will not be on the line for this one, which, listen, it's nothing to do with me, but I mean, for Topuria, I guess if he wins, in his mind, he just beat the BMF, so it doesn't matter. He's still the featherweight champ, so he can take your BMF, he can discard it and call it a Mickey Mouse belt and all the rest of it. But it would be cool being the featherweight champ and the BMF champ at the same time. And the old logic is to be the man, you got to beat the man. And if he beats the BMF, then surely he should be the BMF champ.
And
one would have thought.
There's something like, that image of McGregor on top of the cage with the 2 belts. Like there is something very boxing about, when the trainer has like 9 belts around his shoulders or whatever. Like I grew up with that. And there's something about the multiple belts on one guy that like, at least from a visual point, like something clicks in my mind where I'm like, oh, this guy's a super duper star.
Yeah. It's just going to be interesting because Max at 155. I mean, he was phenomenal, absolutely ridiculous against Justin Gaethje. And he's quite big for that weight class at 145. I mean, he was never getting knocked out. And typically that's the thing that happens to people when they have the drastic weight cuts. But at 155, he just looks so much better. Listen, you're going to take a title fight. Of course you are. Right. And he's one of the greatest featherweights we've ever seen. But I was really interested to see him stay at 155. Of course, Islam is a problem for anyone. So he probably fancies his chances against Topuria better. But I'm not sure, man. I mean, Topuria he's something else. He really is.
I could not agree more, and I've been singing this guy's praises from the moment that he got into the UFC. The more I look at this fight, though, the more I'm just picturing Max Holloway using his perfect boxing to completely neutralize, Ilia Topuria's power, right? And I just, in my mind, I don't know. I'm really thinking planting my flag early. Max Holloway gets it done.
Yeah. You're saying that. I don't know, but I've got a feeling. I don't want to go against Maxi Baby. I'm the biggest fan of Max Holloway, but Topuria, there's something about this guy, man. He says it. He says what he's going to do, backs it up, said he was going to knock out Volkanovski the way that he did, changed his Instagram bio to featherweight champion of the world, gets pissed up the night before drinking red wine. Do you know what I mean? He's got two nations behind him. Early prediction, I think Topuria gets it done. I really do. In fact, put a poll up in the live chat because we got to do more polls. We've got two producers in the background, you and Brian. Let's get a poll up. What do the people in the chat think about that one? Topuria versus Holloway. Anyway, what else is going on, Harrington? Should we do a quick non-MMA? We got Tabatha Ricci joining us in just a few seconds. She's got a big fight against Angela Hill, co-main event this weekend. She's also living with undefeated Irish boxer Callum Walsh. That's what I want to talk about. I want to speak about the dynamic of two fighters living together. How does that work? Because if Rebecca's going to join the show at the end, by the way, so I have some nice, respectful questions for her. But, if I'm training for a fight, I'm telling Rebecca, cook my dinner. Rebecca, do this, do that. Not because I'm a male chauvinistic pig. It's because I'm going through it. I'm training my ass off, but I need the support network, Or like, I want to have chicken and rice and she wants to have pizza because she's not cutting weight. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of potential arguments there.
Yeah, but that actually might make it easier, right? Because it's like now we're both in camp, right? Callum's fighting, I think it's September 26th at the 3 Arena in Dublin. Tabatha obviously going off this weekend. So you got to figure for the last 4 weeks in their life, there hasn't been any sugar in the Ricci Walsh household. Like, I feel like that has to make it easier, no? If you're both going through it?
Yeah, but it does. But at some point, because listen, you can't do it forever, right? But when you're cutting weight, like Caio Borralho is right now, when you're done and you've just done a training camp and you're just sick of the crap and the discipline and the early nights and you just want to have a good old fashioned beer, a good old fashioned get down, as Anthony would say. You want to let loose a little bit, but then you've got your partner that's getting ready for a fight. Anyway, so we'll talk about all that stuff when she jumps on. Strickland's in the news again. What's he been saying?
I mean, so much stuff. You tell me where you want to start. I think probably.
We won't talk about any of the controversial stuff, okay?
Yeah,
right?
No.
The stuff about Izzy, you fool.
Yeah, let's start with that. He said Israel Adesanya, and people might not want to hear this, just isn't that good. Brian, I don't know if you want to roll the tape. Hear from Sean, not me.
Everyone's like, oh, man, Izzy's this and that. Like, dude, I've sparred Kelvin so many times where I'm like, you kind of had a close fight with Kelvin. Yeah. Like, you're not that good. Like, you're not that good. You fought Costa. Costa was scared shitless of you. You blew on him. He fell asleep. Like, Izzy's just not that good.
Really? I'm just looking at his record right now. He did have that really close fight with Israel Adesanya. Of course, it was the final fight of my career. But he was like doing massive, massive things in his prime. But then he goes on this crazy losing streak. Granted, to good fighters, Adesanya, Darren Till, Jacko Manson, beats Ian Heinisch, Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier, lost to Sean Brady, and then just got a close one where he was massively overweight again over Daniel Rodriguez. What I'm saying is, how old is Kelvin Gastelum as well, by the way? He's still quite young, I think. He's only 32, but he's got a lot of miles on the clock. Ooh. Anyway, never mind that, Harrington. Get off the screen. We've got the one and only Baby Shark. It's only me on the screen, Brian.
Oh, looks like she left real quick.
Oh, She's left. She saw you, Harrington, and she was like, no way. I ain't doing this. She'll be back in a second, no doubt. Probably pushed the wrong button. She got a phone call, or she did see you. Gastelum. I think he peaked early. I understand what Sean's saying because he has lost a lot of fights, but you can't sit there and you can't say that Izzy sucks because he had a close fight with Kelvin Gastelum. I think Kelvin Gastelum now isn't the Kelvin Gastelum that he was a few years ago. Right, Harrington, get off. Tabatha, how you doing?
Hi, doing great.
Good. We just thought that you took one look at the guy that was on screen and you were like, I'm not doing this. I'm out of here.
He just went out.
Yeah. No, he's annoying. He's a very, very annoying guy. How you doing, Tabatha? How's prep for the big fight going?
It's doing great. Focus on my weight cut right now. Everything's being awesome.
Yeah, good. Congratulations on everything. First off, the baby shark. Where did this nickname come from?
This nickname came from my gym. There is a jiu-jitsu coach at my jiu-jitsu gym. All the time I show up for training, he's like, oh, baby shark's in the house. Because I'm a little girl fighting all the guys. He always call me baby shark.
Okay. Now you're fighting Angela Hill, co-main event. Now I don't talk ever about what people say in fighter meetings because they tell us things in confidence. Whatever you tell me, I wouldn't tell Angela. But I can say this. Do you know what she's carrying around right now?
Oh, yeah. People keep sending me the
killer whale.
The killer whale. Yeah.
Because they eat sharks.
Yeah. That's so funny.
I know. I did laugh. Tell me about your fight prep or just how you're feeling about this fight with Angela.
I feel great. I'm very happy with the opportunity of fighting Angela. She's another veteran. I fought Tisa, now her. I think it's going to be a huge test for myself, big challenge. She's a gatekeeper, so I'm very confident for this fight. We made a very good game plan for the fight, so I'm feeling very confident.
It's always interesting to me when two people that have trained together in the past, because you guys did a little training, right?
Yeah, we did a little train, twice.
Okay. So how did the training sessions go? Even though you shouldn't tap and tell.
I think we did a really respectful training. We're like all going to kill each other now. But it was fun. It was very good. It was back and forth, very dynamic training. It was really nice.
Yeah, really nice. But you're being far too nice. If I train with somebody and I end up fighting them, I immediately, and I know you did, you think back to that training session and you think, oh, that went really well. This is going to be a good fight. Or maybe you think it went bad. So which one is it for you?
No, I think he did pretty well. I think it was very good.
Okay. Respectfully. Okay. I want to talk to you about this, Callum Walsh. So I was asking you yesterday, you live with the undefeated Irish prospect, great fighter, great boxer. You live with him. That has got to be one of the strictest households on planet Earth.
Sorry, you got cut.
Oh, I was just saying you live with Callum Walsh. I mean, that must be a very, very strict household. When you two are both in camp, I mean, there ain't no cheat days in that house.
Oh, no. Not at all. Yeah, we both very restrict. It's very cool because we push each other and we do train together. We go for runnings. We do swimming, we hikings. We always active. Yeah.
Yeah. But come on, listen, you're fighting on Saturday, right? You're fighting Saturday. After that, you're going to step off the diet. You're going to want a pizza. You're going to want some pasta. Maybe you want a glass of wine. I mean, talk to me about that dynamic, because in my house, my wife, who was a brilliant support network, she cooked for me. She got my bags ready. She did my laundry. Do you know what I mean? How does that work when you're both in training camp?
We both help each other. We gotta clean the house. We gotta make laundry. So you go do this. I tell you go do the dishes today, or help me to clean the house. I actually have a big training schedule than him because he only train boxing and I'm going sessions to sessions. So he does help a lot in the house though.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. How beneficial is it? Obviously, you've got a good background in jiu-jitsu. And now mixed martial arts, you improving the striking all the time. How beneficial is it for you having somebody like Callum, not only in the gym, but living with you 24/7?
Yeah, it's very good. We always play some boxing. He always teach me some new technique. He actually very smart in terms to study the opponent. So he when we watch tapes, he oh, she has the habit to do this. I think if you step on that side, you make that angle. He's very smart on read the opponent. In technical way. So it's pretty cool to have his vision on the opponent. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. And Angela Hill this weekend. So what should we expect in this fight?
Well, I want to don't give time for her to take any breath on that fight. That fight's going to be my fight. So I'm really going to go forward. I think she already expects that I'm going to take her down, that could be, that not could be, I don't know. I'm waiting for the best version of Angela Hill on that fight. So I'm going to be ready for anything, but I do want to pace the fight, and then that's going to be my fight. Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't wait for it. Tabatha Ricci, the baby shark. Good luck on Saturday for joining us. Take care. Good luck with the weight cut. How many pounds you say?
5 pounds less for me.
Oh, that's easy. Let me ask you this. A lot of female fighters, they miss weight. Weight. What's going on there?
I don't know, maybe their diet or they're not folks or the lifestyle they live, because for me, it's not a big deal. I love to make diets, I like to see my progress, getting shape for the fight. I think it's pretty cool when you start peaking, getting close to the fight, and you feel your body getting all shred up. It is pretty cool.
You're always in the gym though. Anytime I go to when I'm commentating and I go into the gym, you're always there.
Oh, I'm always there. Yeah.
Are you a workout maniac even when you're not training? Sorry, even when you're not in camp?
I never stop training. Never. That's my lifestyle. I love it. There's always something new to improve, especially in strength conditioning. I don't think you should stop training at all. That's your machine. You have to keep that thing going.
See, that's the thing. This is what I say to people, even my wife, this morning before I did this, I did the Peloton, I did some rounds on the bag, and then I jumped in the ice bath. And people are always like, oh, you're making a comeback and stuff. I'm like, no. I enjoy it. It's the best part of my day.
Of course, you're taking care of your temper, of our machine. It's not like you're getting ready for the fight. It's just a routine.
Well, I'm working off the alcohol that I had the night before, and I'm exercising the demons in my mind. Tabatha, best of luck this weekend. Good luck, and I'll see you there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care, Tabatha. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. And there is the baby shark, and there is Mike Harrington. Oh, best of luck to her. What do you think about that fight, Harrington? I can't give any predictions. And what do you think about Jared Cannonier and Caio Borralho as well?
I mean, it is so tough for me. I mean, Jared is a literal freak of nature. The guy wins everywhere from heavyweight to, through middleweight. It's absurd what he's been able to do. So I always question doubting him, but there's something about this Fighting Nerds team where I'm like, man, these guys are not here to take part. They really do feel like they're taking over. I would not be surprised if they had multiple champion, like a champion at multiple weight divisions by the end of 2025. So I'm gonna just bet on momentum in this one. I really like Caio's chances.
Okay. No, the team is doing phenomenal things. I mean, I was in Manchester for 3 or 4, and I went in the gym, and there was Caio with Bruno Brazil, who fought Molly McCann. And on paper, obviously, I can't make predictions and stuff like that, but I thought this was going to be a good one for Molly. I thought stylistically it was a good matchup for her, and I thought she was going to have a great performance. Bruna Brazil, my God, she was phenomenal in that fight. And I put a lot of that, she showed so much improvements, and a lot of that's because of what they're doing at the Fighting Nerds. So they're doing so, I mean, obviously he's a clever guy, he's a math teacher and chemistry teacher and all the other stuff, but yeah, they're doing something correct. What were we talking? Go on.
You have the power of rocks and minerals and earth stones versus the power of science and applied mathematics on one side. It's really a test of wills.
Yeah, I was speaking to Jared Cannonier yesterday, and he was very intense. So I didn't want to make fun, but I was going to say, because I was asking him about the fight, obviously. But I wanted to say, and what do the crystals say? What are the crystals? And I thought, it's just not the time. Do you know what I mean? He's cutting weight. He's miserable. He's answering questions. He's speaking to the media. Then he's going to talk to me who's just dicking around asking about, and what do the crystals say, Jared? You know, but he does believe. He does believe in the power of the crystals. Anyway, we were talking about Strickland saying that Kelvin Gastelum sucks. Strickland says that because, of course, he's beaten Israel Adesanya. That's why he says he sucks. That's why he says he sucks, because he didn't just beat Israel Adesanya. He dominated Israel Adesanya. So, of course, he's going to say that. The Izzy that we saw Saturday night against Dricus, that wasn't a fighter that sucked. That was a fighter that looked really good. Defensively, ate some shots off Dricus, but he landed more shots. In round 3, he looked beautiful. He just got, I guess, finally exposed in terms of the grappling and the jiu-jitsu, and just tied in round 4. But listen, Strickland's going to say that because his experience with Israel Adesanya is that, yeah, I dominated him. Of course you're going to say that. If I go out there and beat the crap out of anyone, I'm going to say, yeah, they're not the best. They're not the best, and I don't see what all the hype was about, which is interesting for Sean. And this is what people love about Sean, because he's so honest. You know what I mean? Because a lot of fighters would then big themselves up by going, oh, no. Izzy's one of the best ever, man. It's unbelievable. I was just that good on the night. And I do admire that about Sean, that he's just so, he's like, yeah, no, he's crap. This guy's crap.
I don't think he would be saying that if Izzy had won the fight and he was looking at a possible fight with Izzy. I think it's one of those things where you kind of got to downplay Izzy to build up your fight with DDP, no?
No, I don't think anything that he says is that deep. I don't think there's an ulterior motive. I think he's literally a thought comes into his mind and he says it, and it's his real thoughts, you know, and I think that's why people resonate with him. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like a lot of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, whatever. It's a free world. We're all entitled to our opinions. But I find it refreshing that the man is so brutally honest, you know. So from that regard, I as I say, I respect it. Anyway, we got Sean O'Malley jumping on in about 15 minutes. Give us a non-MMA story, Harrington.
All right.
In fact, let's just do this. Brian, you can jump on the show as well if you're fit for jumping. Are you fit for jumping?
Oh, I can jump.
Oh, you can jump. I want to talk about this one, this yacht. Did we see this in the news? This super yacht went down off the coast of Italy or Sicily. Yeah. And it's a tragedy. Go on. It's such a tragedy for anyone that hasn't seen it. This British tech tycoon, billionaire, got this super yacht. It's gone down. Apparently, this huge storm came. It was caught on video. It went down within 60 seconds. Nothing could have been done to save the boat. They're all dead, of course, the family, his children and stuff like that. I was watching on the news this morning. They were speaking to the neighbors and what a good guy he was. But of course, he's a rich guy. And anytime anything like this, it's not too long before conspiracies start to circle. That's why I was like, Brian, I'm really interested to hear your one. Well, because what I saw, hold on, let me just finish with the background for everyone. What I saw online, apparently he's the nicest guy ever, you know. And you know what Rebecca said? You don't become a billionaire by being the nicest guy ever, which is not a fair thing for Rebecca to say, because he might be the nicest guy. But the story is, apparently he sold his business for $11 billion. Within a short space of time, 3/4 of that valuation had disappeared because apparently he overinflated the value of the company. So then they sued him, which went on for about 12 years. He had a 1% chance of winning the case. He won the case. And then shortly thereafter, the yacht that was labeled as unsinkable went down in 60 seconds. Brian, over to you.
So another thing that's weird about that is 2 days prior, one of his business partners, I'm pretty sure it was one of his accountants, if I'm not mistaken, was killed by a car, hit by a car randomly while he was on a jog. Just 2 days before. Another guy very much involved in this. Yeah. And then if you start putting your tinfoil hat on and you go deep into the deep dark corners of the internet, you got people talking about weather manipulation machines and how much they cost, and if you see the video of that water spout funnel, it's pretty crazy. There's like footage of the water spout that came down and sunk the boat, but not really of the boat sinking. It's from far away.
I mean, first off, it's awful. It's awful that these people have passed away. And Rebecca said this because there were some comments online and people had some not the most sympathetic views. And Rebecca was like, it's awful. Just because the guy's done well and he's a billionaire doesn't mean it's not a tragedy that him and his whole family have passed away. And he said, if that was an average person, it'd be an outpour of sympathy and all the rest of it. But because the guy's done so well and he's labeled as a tycoon, people don't have the same sympathy. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I did see a lot of comments like that. But I tell you what, Brian, the fact that his accountant was just hit by a car, that is a little fishy.
He was a co-defendant in Lynch's fraud trial. That he was, the point of the cruise that they were out on the yacht was the celebration of them being acquitted of all charges, the thing being thrown out.
Oh, was it really?
Fine irony, really.
I mean,
it was the celebration cruise. That's what they labeled it as.
Right. Oh God! Don't laugh, Brian. This is
I'm laughing at the irony of the situation. It's very sad that this happened.
No, of course, and I know you are making a joke of it, but it's not a joking matter. It's really sad. So this is either the biggest coincidence ever. Because think about it. Because I said to Rebecca, apparently someone had the boat sunk. All right, it was murder, and she said, "Well, hold on a minute. You wouldn't do that. You would sue them." And that was before I knew that they had tried to sue them. And it went on for 12 years. And then when they're celebrating the boat, that gets sunk. And then the accountant, who was one of the witnesses, he gets hit by a car.
It's just a little stinky is all.
There's also possible foul play here because they said the one thing that could sink this boat, right? Like it didn't have engines, didn't have motors. It was a sailboat, which are typically significantly safer than any boats that are powered by an engine. They said one possible culprit could be the fin. If the ship's keel, a fin-like structure designed to prevent the boat from being blown sideways by the wind, if that was up, that could have possibly gotten caught in the wind and caused the boat to capsize. When divers did go down there, they found that the keel fin was in fact up. And
also, I read last night that some of the doors on the decks were open. So when the heavy waves came in, or if the boat went to go capsize, water got in and actually did it. That's one of the non-conspiracy solutions.
Hold on, Hamilton. But it's supposed to be unsinkable. Brian, I'm sure we've got to go to commercial break in a second. I'm sure you've got a thought on this. I'm no doubt there's a conspiracy attached to this, but the Titanic, of course, was unsinkable, and it did in fact sink. At what point are they going to stop labeling it's a boat? You can sink a boat.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit about the Titanic too.
Yeah, of course there is.
A couple of very important individuals died that may or may not have changed the course of the nation.
Oh, really? Somebody to do with what families are we talking?
Banking, J.P. Morgan and the Rockefellers and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew the Rockefellers. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Yeah. Anything that goes in water, you can't label it unsinkable. It's going to sink. Much like this show. We're sinking fast, baby. We're sinking. Right. We're sinking or we're swimming. It's sink or swim time, and it's also time to go for a quick commercial ad break. We got Sean O'Malley, and we got lots of other topics to get into, and we're going to answer your questions. So go nowhere. Brian, hit the ad commercial. Apologies. We'll be right back. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right. Okay. What have we got? I mean, Henry Cejudo is talking about coming back and dominating the flyweight division, making a return at 125. Harrington, just give the lowdown, please.
Yeah, he says there's a lot of interest at 125. There's a lot of guys coming in at 135 who are, very clearly in the title picture. But he said if he goes down to 125, settles the score with Brandon Moreno, who he, in his words, said bitched out of a fight at 135. If he goes down there and beats Moreno, then he puts himself into title contention. And once again, you can see the king of cringe touching gold.
I thought he was retired.
I don't believe so.
No, I mean, he did retire. Then he unretired, came back and fought Merab. I wasn't sure what he was doing, so he wants to stick around. I mean, he's getting on. What is he, 35, 36 now?
Something like
and we all know the stat of 35 and older with the old Volk, old man skit and all the rest of it. But that's a stat for a reason. Yeah, I just don't think that he's 37 to go down to flyweight. I mean, listen, he was an unbelievable fighter, but I just think maybe the sport might have passed him by now. I mean, of course, with his wrestling background and the pedigree that he's got, he could beat a lot of fighters. Of course he could. But the truly elite, I mean, I think against Brandon Moreno, I think stylistically he could have a good shot. But what were you going to say?
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, at 28, 29, he was having a hard time, making 125 consistently. There was talk of Dana White giving him the Kelvin treatment and saying, this guy's got to come up to 135. I mean, he did make championship weight for the Demetrius Johnson fight, so, maybe he still could. But at 37, that's got to be way tougher. But you were right about Moreno. That's a good stylistic fight. And Pantoja feels like he gives everyone a close fight. So why couldn't Henry Cejudo, if he can make the weight, do it?
I tell you what, for Pantoja, that'd be a good fight because, he's one of the biggest stars. That's kind of what's lacking in the 125-pound division. Don't get me wrong, incredibly skilled fighters, but star power. That is something that Henry Cejudo has for sure. But it is interesting, when you talk about 37 years old, everything slows down, and it's not just the timing, the reflexes and the recovery time from the training sessions. It's the metabolism. Making 125 at 37 years old when you haven't done that for a long time. I mean, how old are you, Harrington?
I'm 36.
So you're younger than Henry Cejudo. Your metabolism slowed down a while ago.
No, I stopped going to the gym a while ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does. It just gets harder. I mean, to keep the weight off, it's a constant battle. Like I said to Tabatha before, it is. It's just like, for me, I work out every day because I enjoy it. It's the best part of my day. And it truly is. I love going for a morning run. I love getting a sweat and I love getting the endorphins and all the rest of it. But it's also to try and stay in shape because I want to be proud of myself. I want to live a long life, and I want to be healthy. It feels good. But if you sit on your ass and don't do anything, when you start pushing 40, the pounds, they pile on very, very quickly. So I don't know. Put a little poll up there. Do we want to see Henry Cejudo back at 125 or not? What's your answer, Harrington?
I mean, I'd love it. I don't see a fun fight for him at 135 right now. But I mean, the as you said, the star power is kind of lacking at 125, and I think that is exactly what that division needs. Speaking of polls, though,
go on.
I have the results for the last poll with 717 votes. 73% of the believers think Max Holloway gets it done against Ilia Topuria.
Oh, really? Yeah, look, listen, you got to think anything like that, polls, it's popularity as well. Max is crazy popular, and rightly so. They love the way he carries himself. Of course, they love the way he fights. He shows up. He doesn't duck anybody. He's very relatable. He hasn't disappeared up his own backside and, become like some superstar or seem unapproachable, and he's not driving around in, I'm sure he's got a very nice car, don't get me wrong, but, and he hasn't got the money for Lamborghini yachts, although I'm sure he could drive a bloody nice car if he wanted to. But that's the thing about Max. He just seems like he hasn't, there's no airs and graces about the guy. He still just seems like the normal, everyday guy. Whereas on the flip side, Topuria is a little bit, he does carry himself with an amount of seriousness. But of course, there's nothing wrong with that. They're just different people. I mean, Hawaiians are like the most laid back people ever, So I think that does play a big part in that poll for sure. I'll be at the Apex this weekend. It's a good fight card. I know people like to shit on the Apex. Jared Cannonier, Caio Borralho in the main event. That's a very, very important fight in the middleweight division. Angela Hill, Tabatha Ricci in the co-main. There's two a middleweight and a featherweight Ultimate Fighter finals. Have you been watching the Ultimate Fighter?
No.
Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. I've been too busy, bro. I'm all over the place. Neil Magny. On the spotlight. It was a question. Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. Morales, I think he's undefeated, 16-0, taking on Neil Magny. And then Edmund Shabazian versus Gerald Mirachar. So there's a lot of name recognition on there. It's a pretty good fight card. Edmund Shabazian versus Gerald Mirachar. What do you think about that one?
I mean, I'm super interested in that one. I was talking to a buddy about that. He's like, I don't know about. I'm like, Edmund still has it. Edmund, like, he still does have that in him to put on a really thrilling performance, right? Like, he can, steal that fight of the night, that performance of the night, knockout of the night bonus, whatever you want. Like, but he also does have, he's a very questionable chin at this point in his career. So it's like, dude, that's a very fun. I'd say the skill level and striking of Shabazian is significantly higher than Mearshart, but I give both guys a real chance in that fight. It's gonna be a fun scrap.
Yeah. No, it is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good fight card as well. I'm just looking here. You've got number 12. What's all this about? Joe Rogan is catching flack for being visibly upset at the fight companion when Dricus beat Izzy. I've seen that clip doing the rounds, and I see a lot of people giving shit and all the rest of it. What's the word the kids use these days? Coping?
Oh, yeah, a lot of cope. Right there.
Why cope?
I mean, it's the same as in the mid-2000s, you mad, bro?
Never said that one either.
I made you mad, you mad?
Listen, Izzy's been around the UFC for a long time. Joe has called a lot of his fights. I don't know if he's been on the podcast or not. I know that Izzy came out and stood up for Joe Rogan when there was a bit of controversy. And you're a fan of the guy's career. And I think the more time you're around, it's only natural that you build relationships with people. As long as it doesn't affect him being able to call a fight as he sees it, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of respect for the career and maybe personally, privately leaning one way. He wasn't calling the fight. I don't necessarily have an issue with that, to be quite frank.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching a Tom Aspinall fight at home versus on commentary, it's a much different experience, I'm sure. But
no, it is. Get out of here, Harrington. What's going on, champ?
What up, boys?
It's okay. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
How does that look? Does that look decent? Is that light in the back blurry?
No, it's good. We're looking fine. We can see the two Lamborghinis in the background. I think I'm hearing myself back though, Brian.
Yeah, that's my fault. I have my AirPod in, but I'm not even.
No. You good, buddy? Oh, it's not coming through the AirPods?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. Jesus.
Oh, come on. And you got the Timbo Sugar Show. You've got the Lamborghinis. You've got the bantamweight belt. And you can't even connect the AirPods?
I don't know why they're not connected. I can't believe I didn't even realize they weren't connected, to be honest.
Oh, God. It's all going wrong. Thank God we're not live.
Wait, we are, right?
Yes, we are. Indeed-o.
I don't know why these AirPods are not connected.
It's okay. This is
yeah, they're not
so good. Take your time.
That's what happens when you go live, huh?
I know. It's just might be the last one ever.
Yeah.
No? Oh. We got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's go. Live and direct.
Shit. There we go. Nice. There we go. And it's a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, Bisping, not two Lamborghinis.
Oh, I've got to get it together. What a fool I am.
I know, it's okay.
Hey, Sean, obviously congrats on everything, buddy, but we got to start with this. Merab Dvalishvili put in the cut. Dana, obviously promoting this show and spending a fortune, was kind of annoyed that he even chose to put that on social media. Seeing as you're the guy that he's fighting, what's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, the cut, I see Dana's point of view. It's like he just doesn't want that fight to fall out. Does Dana actually care that Merab has a cut? No, Dana probably doesn't care. Merab could lose his arm, and I don't think Dana would actually care. It's the fact that it risks the potential of the fight. That's what is the issue there with maybe the commission or something like that, not letting the fight happen. But Dana actually cared if Merab got cut. Merab's about to get cut from the UFC after this fight, let alone have a little eyebrow cut. That's the last cut he needs to worry about is his eyebrow.
Yeah. Look, listen, it's just a cut, and it didn't look like a bad cut, let's be honest,
Correct.
But, how old are you, Sean?
29.
29. So you probably grew up with social media. It's a big part of everyone's lives. He's promoting the fight. From his perspective, he's just like, this is an interesting in the day of the life type of thing. Probably didn't just think it through. The Sphere, man. How excited are you for this, Sean?
I'm very excited now that it's like, the last fight, the pay-per-view was last weekend. So now it's, it's always the next pay-per-view, what's being talked about. So now that fight's over, we got the Sphere coming up. A little annoyed-ish about the promotion of the Sphere. The Sphere's the show. I'm the one doing interviews, not the Sphere. Let's promote Sean versus Merab, the Suga show. I'm the one fighting. Let's go, baby. But you know what? It is what it is. The Sphere's going to be legendary. It'll be epic. It'll be cool. But, I think these next few weeks are really going to, things are still going to start coming out. ESPN will start posting. UFC will start posting. So it's going to feel big soon.
Yeah, no, listen, I kind of get your point, but you've got to look at it as a massive honor because if it is the only one that they do there and you're the guy that they chose to headline it, because with the greatest of respect to Merab, you're the champ, you're the superstar, and you're the guy that they put on the one and only Sphere event. I mean, that's an honor.
Absolutely correct. Very honored. I mean, Ilia and Max wanted this card. Conor was saying he wanted to come out of rehab to get the card, and they chose me, so I'm very honored.
What's going on with you and Conor? Because I saw you going back and forth a little bit.
I don't think anything else anymore. I think it kind of just ended there, and I'm sure he'll do a little something and start throwing out some more tweets, and they'll start back up. But so right now, I think it just kind of at a stalemate.
Yeah, you said though that's a fight that you would welcome.
Of course, I mean of course, I think anybody in the UFC, if they got an option or opportunity to fight Conor, they would.
Would you get a Lamborghini yacht one day? I see the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. Are we working towards the yacht?
I think with that, I feel like that would cause more stress than it would cause like joy or happiness. So, I'll probably just stick to the Lamborghini car, maybe not quite the yacht. That seems a little bit too stressful, but you never know. You make so much money, and then you're like, what do I do with this one? So we'll see. Yeah. Probably not, though.
You got to be careful on the yachts, though. I don't know if you saw that news story that the unsinkable yacht just sank in 60 seconds. Did you see that?
No, actually, no, I didn't see that. But that brings me. Yeah, I'm not a huge water guy. Not a fan of the ocean as far as being in it or out. So yeah, the yacht's not happening.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. What do you know? What can you share? And I'm assuming it's nothing, but in terms of the production, everybody's guessing. Dana came out and said the first fight's going to be like the dawn of man. Your fight's going to be Mexico in the future. Do you have any inclination or do you know anything else but you sworn to secrecy?
I do know one thing, but I didn't think it was that crazy that they asked me not to tell, so I unfortunately can't share it.
Sure.
But it's interesting. It'll be cool. I think it'll be we'll see how it goes. It's something small, but could be really interesting. Obviously I'm going to be fighting, so and I'm talking about something on the Sphere, projected on the Sphere. So there's that, but other than that, no, I have no idea. I mean, I went and did some promotional shoot when Merab and I faced off over the Sphere. We did some different green screens and blue screens and stuff for us projected on the Sphere inside the screen. So there's some of that stuff going on, but as far as like what else is gonna be on there, I'm not exactly sure.
How are you and Merab? So when you did that face off, I mean, because he seems, I've had him on the show, seems like a great guy, but how are you and Merab knowing that you're going to fight one another?
I think Merab's got little man syndrome. I don't think it helps that I've knocked out his best friend and his training partner. He hates Tim. That's very out there. He doesn't like Tim. So there's just like little beefs all over the place. At the end of the day, he's just another opponent. It's going to be another knockout highlight reel for the Suga show. And, I feel bad for him because he's been this close to the belt, for a long time, and he's just not going to quite get there. And it's because of me. So there's a little bit of guilt there. I'm like, man, I should just maybe – no, but yeah, I feel a little bit bad. Maybe I'll move up to 45, and I think he could take out the division. But to be honest, I think I'm gonna make him look stupid. I'm gonna make him look amateur, and I don't know how long he will be in the UFC.
And the wrestling, right? I mean, he came on my show. You might have saw the clip. He said, this is where he's going to try out his striking and he's going to knock you out, and I called him on his BS straight away. It's the wrestling that's going to be his path to victory. I saw your interview that you did with Brett Okamoto, and I kind of agree because you are tall, you are long, you are fast and accurate, you got slick footwork. I think he's going to have a hard time even getting on the inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lose-lose for him. Him trying to wrestle is what's going to get him knocked out, to be honest. But also, him trying to strike with me is not really going to go his way either. So it's kind of a shitty position for Merab to be in, having to fight me for the title. But again, it's like I have to show up. If I show up September 14th at the Sphere like I do, like I did against Aljo, like I did against Cheeto, I beat Merab. So, and I'm very good at showing up when the moment matters the most. I pride myself in being able to do that every time. So if I show up, when I show up, I'm gonna get the job done. I feel like I am a better athlete. I'm a better fighter. I have better IQ, and better fight IQ too. I might throw that one in there, and I'm gonna piece him up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, your rise, Sean, has been phenomenal. Right from day one, you kind of said what you were going to achieve, and you've followed through, and you've lived up to that, and lived up to the hype as well. Because that's the hard part, isn't it? The UFC see a guy like you that's marketable, but you got to be able to back it up, and you got to be able to fight. And ever since the opponents have got harder and harder, you have done that in style. I mean, the way you knocked out Aljamain, the beating on Cheeto, and if you get through Merab next, I mean, you got nothing but massive, massive options. You've got Topuria. I know you've been talking about that. There's Conor McGregor there. Of course, you were talking about Umar Nurmagomedov and that he needs to shave his unibrow.
Yeah, he should probably wax just in case, because you don't know if it'd be horrible for Merab to pull out and then they're like, hey, Umar, it's your shot. And he's got the whole thing going. So I would just let him know, get it cleaned up now just in case.
Would that be the next guy, you think? Or do you think you would look for somebody outside of your division?
It's definitely a possibility. Like the Umar fight gets me very excited. You guys, you can't tell me that Max Holloway versus the Suga show at 145, if Max goes out there and beats Ilia, isn't a massive fight. Me versus Ilia, if he goes out there and beats Max, that's a massive fight. Yeah, I like every single. I never want to have just one option. I never want it to just be like, all right. I mean, I don't want to say that actually, because if it is just one guy, that's gonna be massive. But I do like having options. I do like keeping it interesting and having the fans, wonder what's next for the Suga show. So it is nice to be able to have options.
Absolutely. Talking of that fight, Topuria versus Max, we were just kind of debating who wins that. If you had to make a pick, which way would you lean?
I think Max gets the job done.
And still the BMF and the featherweight title.
Yeah, I mean, I heard or saw Ilia say the BMF title wasn't on the line or whatever. I'm like, if you're the BMF champ and you're fighting, that thing's on the line. So Max goes out there and wins 45 BMF champ. I move up. I beat Max. I'm the BMF 35, 45. Go up, fight Islam. Just jokes. I'll stop there. But yeah, no, I think, and Max to me is probably one of the hardest. Like if I'm looking at the 35 and 45 pound division, I think Max Holloway is one of the hardest opponents for me in the division. in both divisions.
Yeah, he's a tough fight for anybody. Look at what he did to Justin Gaethje. Another option that you've been speaking about for some time is going into the boxing world.
Yeah.
What is the kind of plans with that?
Yeah, I feel like over the last 3 years or so, or whatever it's been, I kind of planted the seed. I said, I'm willing to go in there and box one of these guys, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, a big boxer. I would love to do that. I would love to test my boxing skills against a high level elite pro. I try to listen to the fans, the feedback, and every time I bring it up, I get a lot of hate. They're like, "Oh, I stay on the UFC." But then I call out Ilia Topuria, and they're like, "Oh, you're ducking Merab." I'm like, boxing and Ilia are, in my opinion, Merab's not an easy fight by any means. I'm not saying that. But going up to 45 and trying to fight Ilia is a very, very, very more difficult challenge. Going into the boxing world and trying to box one of these guys is more difficult. So I'm trying to just, what would be the most exciting for the fans, the hardest, the most competitive, the most exciting. If I win, holy. And they're like, no, we want Merab. So I'm here for what the fans want. They want Merab. I'll take that. If you said, hey, if you pick one fight that you think you're going to win the most percentage-wise, boxing, Ilia or Merab, I'd pick Merab. Merab's, obviously my weight division. He's 5'4". He's, a good matchup for me. So I'm going to take that Merab fight, and then we'll see what happens next. I do think if I go out there and land these hands, pop, 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 bink, and win in fantastic fashion, boxing with my hands, it makes those boxing fights more interesting.
No, I think it does. Certainly if you beat Merab, let's say 1 or 2 more fights, and you do it with your hands like you always do.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of makes sense. I mean, when you look at Conor McGregor and what he did with Floyd Mayweather, I think, and then you look at Francis Ngannou and what he did against Tyson, granted against Anthony Joshua, it was a very different story. But still, there's a narrative now that we can go over there. What do you make of this whole? Because boxers look at MMA guys and say, we can't box, which is bullshit. And I look at you can clearly box to a very, very high level. What is your response when you hear them just like kind of disregard our threat in any way?
I think, you got to look at it too. It's like, there's a little bit of insecurity in those boxers. Of course, they're going to say we can't box. That's the only thing that they can do. So for us to be able to box and whoop their ass any other way, that's not a good look for the boxers. So of course they're going to say we can't box. But most of the time they're not wrong. Not a lot of MMA guys can, straight up box to different sport. But I feel like there's a few of us that could translate and box, and make it competitive. So for the most part, they're kind of ish, right? But, there's a few of us that I think could translate over pretty well.
No, I agree. Talk to me about Tim Welsh. And thank you. I've come on your show now a couple of times. Great podcast. Tim seems like a great guy. He does seem to rub some people up the wrong way. I know Merab has an issue. He said that, he's going to get his hands on him.
Yeah.
Perillo didn't like him back in the day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your relationship. Talk to me about the kind of, the input that he has on your day-to-day fight camps.
Yeah, Tim and I have been best friends. I moved down here when I was 19. So 10 years ago, I moved down here. Never lived anywhere other than my parents' house. I got an apartment with Tim. And we kind of, I grew up with Tim basically as far as being an adult. Like I didn't know how to do laundry or the dishes or be a good roommate. So it started way back then. He was still trying to get in the UFC. He was in Bellator. He was on Fight Master. He was doing his thing, fighting. Every time I had a fight coming up, he would kind of transition into coaching. He would hold mitts and help me with my diet and stuff like that. And over the years, it just kind of got more serious about the role of coaching. And then, now obviously he's like my full-time head coach. But Tim, for me, Tim's one of the funniest. Like I can see how he rubs people the wrong way online. And like Merab's the one saying he wants to fight Tim, and Merab's 5'4", 130 pounds. Like he's a little guy. So for Tim to reply, it's a lose-lose. But for Tim, you got to reply. You're getting called out by a little guy. And so Tim's like, dude, I even said it to him. Like, Tim would you up in a fight. And then everyone in the comments were like, oh, Tim couldn't even get in the UFC. Tim was on this. Tim was on that. Tim, lost in Bellator. Like Tim's very, very, very skilled. And he still trains competition training jiu-jitsu at a very high level. He still hits mitts. He still I mean, he's in there holding mitts for me. He's seeing it. He still spars. He watches. He's very in the game. So for people to say that Merab would beat up Tim in a fight is crazy. But Tim got in Bellator. Tim was fighting this undefeated Russian when he was like 20 years old in Bellator. Tim didn't have the guidance that I have to say, hey, that's not a smart fight. Let's not fight this guy. What are you doing? You're 20 years old fighting this like undefeated Russian guy. That's very, very dangerous. But he didn't have that guidance. So he took some bad fights, lost some fights, and his career didn't play out the way he wanted it to. But I mean, I think he's in a very good position, doing what he's doing, running a very successful gym, killing it on social media. He's my head coach. We got a couple guys coming up. Tommy McMillan, the Contender Series is coming up. Tim's really been helping a lot with his camp. So, Tim's in a really, really cool position right now, and I think he loves what he does. No,
that's beautiful, Sean. It really is. And I'm kind of jealous in some ways, because to go through the journey of what you're doing right now, being a fighter, and certainly somebody with your success, it's hard to know who to trust,
Yeah.
And of course, in this, it's a tough path anyway. So to go through this with somebody that you've known for so long, somebody that's in your corner, in your training camp, and also someone around that you can trust, not only with the money side of things, but probably with your life, that is so important.
Yeah, no, I've been very, very, very lucky with like the group and the team that I've kind of assembled around me. Brandon Harris, strength and conditioning coach, met him like 5-6 years ago, and just put my trust in him from the strength and conditioning aspect. Dan Garner, nutritionist, literally changed my life. You get into this sport, you want to be the best in the world, so you start doing certain things to be the best in the world in the sport. Then you realize there's certain things that you need to do just to be a happy human being, just for your mental clarity. So Dan Garner helping me with my diet, my gut health, my brain health, and all these things that after fighting, I'm still going to be using this guy, because it makes my life better. Same with Brandon Harris. These workouts that I'm doing outside of camp aren't necessarily to prepare me for the next fight, but let's just be healthy and live a good life. And Tanquinho, jiu-jitsu coach, ADCC world champion, gi world champion, one of the best to ever do it. Very, very knowledgeable and has a lot of fight experience. And then these up and coming studs. I've been having this kid Ezra Elliott in my corner, who's a young pro. I think he's 1-0 right now. Trying to get him fights is very difficult, but he's going to be in the UFC. And then Uncle Emron's completely changed my life. So everyone has just played such an important role in my life to be where I'm at right now. It'd be I don't even think I could be in this position without everyone playing their role.
Yeah, and that's great that you're so respectful and appreciative. I am interested in what you said about the nutrition. The nutrition. Yeah. Can you just give a little bit of just elaborate a bit further on the concepts and what he does with you, because you really put a lot of focus on the nutrition side of things there, which of course is important. But would you mind sharing a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think cutting weight's the dumbest thing in the sport, or freaking thing. Sorry, I remember. Yeah. Cutting weight is so stupid. Like,
we're live. We're getting demonetized because of the bloody champ.
No. Send 20. I'll Venmo you 20. No, I think Merab probably weighs 155, 156. I weigh 156, 156. Like, we weigh around the same weight, but on that night but the way I look at it, it's like we have to cut weight. No matter what, we got to cut weight. So I want to do it. I want to make that an advantage for me, that I'm going to do it better than him. I'm going to cut weight better than him, and I'm going to rehydrate better than him, and that is going to give me an advantage. That's where Dan Garner comes in. I have my meals from 12 weeks out. I have a full-time chef, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He sends and the snacks in between. He sends me meal plans from 12 weeks to 8 weeks, 8 weeks to 4 weeks, 4 weeks to fight camp, or 4 weeks to fight week to weigh in. So I'm eating literally perfect. We do blood work. The amount of blood work he does on me is pretty insane. I'll go into the lab corp or whatever, and they'll be like, holy shit, like you're getting a lot of blood tested today. So he's testing blood samples. He's testing shit. I shit in a box, send it in. They do what they do with that. Saliva, piss. We've done hair. We've done all these different analyses of my blood work, just of my body in general. And Dan's constantly learning the newest science, because it's never ending. He reads papers, literature, all day. The dude is an absolute genius and is obsessed with it and very passionate about it. He'll send me 45-minute videos breaking down why I need this supplement. So I'm taking all these supplements, third-party tested, of course, Michael Bisping. And so I'm taking all these different supplements, eating these different foods for these very, very specific reasons. So my weight's coming down very naturally. Then, certain days out, we cut carbs, then we cut salt. I mean, that's all pretty normal stuff, but he has it down to an absolute science. And then the rehydration, there's dudes that eat pizza after weigh-ins. There's dudes that eat pancakes. There's dudes that are sucking on maple syrup. So, I mean, I feel like if there's going to be cutting weight, I want to be able to use that towards my advantage and do it better than anyone else.
Yeah, no, without question. And it seems like you're so dedicated. This is the side of things that people don't necessarily see. You put yourself on social media and you're messing around a little bit and you're being hilarious. But what you're going through there is meticulous. I mean, that is insane. But just real quick, what do you eat after you've weighed in and you've got a guy like this? What type of foods are you eating?
Can't give away all the secrets, but it's very
little micro meals, lots of them. Because I just gorged. Yeah,
exactly. You don't want to overeat, and you want to eat stuff that your body's very familiar with, knows how to digest. Obviously, a big part of it is the liquids, rehydrating, especially because we're not allowed to do IVs. We got to hydrate. I actually I got into cutting weight and stuff after the whole IV thing. So I've never rehydrated with an IV. So I never even knew the difference between that. But rehydrating with the liquids, eating a small amount, every few hours rather than, stuffing your tits. But that takes a lot of discipline.
When I started, you could use the IVs. And then, of course, that changed halfway through. And with the IVs, it was so easy. You would just strap yourself in, right? Go back to your hotel room because you know what it's like. You're exhausted. Fall asleep and you take a little nap, for like an hour, and you wake up and you're back to normal. You feel $1 million. And then they got rid of the IVs because it could be a way of people mask inducing and stuff like that. And then it just became an absolute pain in the ass. With all the meticulous blood work and the testing that they're doing, they're looking at so many different things. And of course, it's no secret you smoke a lot of weed. Do they find anything in there that they advise against, or is it, there's no issues with what they're finding? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not passing judgment or anything like that. I'm no saint. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, to be honest, this camp I've probably smoked 3 times in the last 12 weeks. And if I do smoke, it'll be a vaporizer out of a volcano. So there's very low temperature. But this camp, I've never felt like I was addicted to marijuana or weed. I literally sometimes I just don't. So I've barely been smoking at all this camp. So he's never said anything referencing that. I'm very open to with him. Like, hey, I did this, I did that. For when I do certain blood works, like he'll ask me all those questions and I tell him, but he's never said anything how it's affected me negatively.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you got to live your life to a certain degree as well, and what makes you happy, So, congrats on everything, Sean. I mean, so finally, UFC Sphere, the fight's going down in the future. 306. What's the date?
September 14th. 24 days.
Sean
23
O'Malley
days.
show at the Sphere. Yep. How does this one end?
It's either going to end like Aljo fight or the Cheeto fight. I'm going to knock him out early, or I'm going to piece him up for 5 rounds. One of those 2 ways I'd be very happy with. I love knockouts. I love putting people's lights out cold. Yeah. That is always the goal. But again, I'm always prepared for a 25-minute war, and you got to be prepared for a 25-minute war against someone like Merab, who's going to be constantly shooting and constantly on the gas pedal. So that's what we're preparing for.
Yeah, and I can't wait for it. Just last one, it just popped in my mind. Sean, the success you've had is unbelievable. You make a lot of money. You're a very, very famous guy, but there's never any controversy with you. You never seen. No, but there's never any, you got into this, you got into a fight, you were falling out of a nightclub, there's never anything like that surrounds you, or maybe I'm just not looking on the right websites or whatever. How do you stay out and avoid any kind of conflict in that regard?
Give it 5 years and then ask me that. No, so far so good. We're right now the goal is to be the greatest fighter of all time, at least for my era. So I always have to remind myself that and just kind of stay on the right path, because it's not easy. It is not easy when there's, so much opportunity to go and do so many different things. But for me, it's like, let's just book a fight. Let's get in. When I'm in fight camp, nothing else. I don't give a about anything else. Like, I don't want to go and see this guy. I don't want to go hang out with I don't give a about anything else except for that fight, that date. So for me, it's like, let's just keep booking fights. Let's stay active. And I want to be the greatest fighter of all time. And so that's where my head's at. And I'm just trying to, stay there for as long as possible. 29 years old. I think, if I keep eating right, sleeping right, and doing this, I could fight till I'm 35, 36. So we still got a couple years. And that shit goes really fast. I'm noticing that. I have a 4-year-old daughter almost. She's, will be 4 in November. So I'm like, those 3 years go like that. And I got to remember that for my career, because there's going to be a time where I can't fight, and it's going to be, a hard pill to swallow. And I got to make sure I don't have any regrets.
Very, very well said. And that's a great place to end. Sean, thank you for your time. Good luck in the fight. Big fan. You take care. Have a great day.
You're the man. Peace, Bisping. Peace, boys.
Take care, Sean. All the best. I mean, come on. Have you ever seen, how can you not be a fan of that guy?
Dude, he's the absolute, try to hate him. Try. And then listen to him speak for 20 minutes, and you're like, no, I see where he's coming from. He's all good points.
That was unbelievable. Anyway, you shut up. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. I'm putting it on. This episode is sponsored by Prize Picks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You just pick more or less on a 2 to 6 player stat projection, and you watch the winnings roll in. For example, we got some football coming up. Now, Tyreek Hill, will he get more or less than 90 receiving yards? Dak Prescott, will he get more or less than 263 pass yards? Josh Allen, more or less than 240 passing yards? And CeeDee Lamb, will he get more or less than 96 receiving yards? There it is. It is that simple. If it was UFC, it might be, will Dricus du Plessis get more or less than 5 takedowns in this fight? That's basically a breakdown of how Prize Picks works. And let me tell you something right now. Prize Picks puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code BELIEVE and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That is code BELIEVE on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. So one more time, download the Prize Picks app today and make sure you use that code BELIEVE, and you can get $50 instantly when you play $5. Yes. That was really insightful of Sean O'Malley to see how dedicated he is, because as I said, on social media, you see the videos of him messing around and smoking weed and being a little bit silly, but that's just being entertaining for the followers and stuff like that. But when you hear him speak like that, meticulous, that's the word that springs to mind, leaving no stone unturned. I mean, that's crazy. Having all that blood work, having the piss looked at, sending in your stool samples, you know what I mean? But that's the thing that people do. There used to be a show. Rebecca, what was that show called? In England, there was a doctor called Gillian McKeith. It was called What Are You Eating? Or something like that. Brian, just look it up and see if you can find it. And
sounds gross.
Oh, dude, it was the worst. They'd take these people that were really out of shape, you know what I mean? And they would they would have them go to the toilet, and then she would go through it with her fingers, right? It was on mainstream, like ITV, one of the biggest channels in England. It's like ABC or something. And you would go through the poo, the consistency, and break it down and go, look at this. You can tell by the consistency that the food you're eating is garbage. You're eating too much of this. You're eating too much processed foods and blah, 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 and break it all down and then give them a new diet. It was utterly, and this was on at about 7:30 p.m. So when people were eating their dinner and stuff, do you know what I mean?
I couldn't have lasted more than a season or two, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Series
no,
or two.
It was big. It was big, yeah. No, it was disgusting though. Brian, can we find the clip? Dr.
Sorry.
Gillian McKeith.
Apparently, Netflix has remade the series, and
Oh, really?
And now there's an American Netflix one. I'm looking for a place on where to watch it, but
that's gonna be gross.
This woman is not TV, made for TV, you know?
No, she's not made for TV. She went on a show called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here as well. She didn't do too well on that either, but it was a gross show. What was I going to say? I had a little segue there. There was, because I remember, when we go to England for the UFCs and all the staff from the UFC come over and Paul Felder and Laura Sanko and everyone, and they watch English TV. They're like, what is on TV out here? I'm like, what do you mean? And that's one example. Another one, and I hadn't seen this one until I went back went back to England at Christmas, and I was on like ITVX or whatever. And there's a show, and it's basically people come out, they're completely naked.
Oh yeah,
and they reveal a little part of them bit by bit, and it starts with like their feet, and then it shows their thighs, and then it shows their private section. And like there's a panel. They sit there and they go, yeah, and they one by one slowly drop out. You know what I mean?
It's a panel?
It's a panel of people that want to date them. I think I'm getting this right.
Yeah. So it's like they're all in different pods, and there's one person in the center being like, "You're out."
They walk out and they're like, what's your special skill? And one of them can sing or dance or something. And then they reveal little bits. And then, it reveals the penis or the vagina. Do you know what I mean? And like people are like, bing, I'm out. I'm out. That's too small or too dangly or whatever, Yeah. And when I saw that, I was like, I know what the Americans are talking about. It was it's a bit much, if I'm honest.
So that when Max became like a big thing, HBO like kind of brought all their streaming services under one platform, that hit the American airwaves and it became a sensation over here. Because by season 3, they had like bisexual chicks with like dudes and ladies in the pods, and it's like Naked Attraction, I think it's called.
Oh, Naked Attraction, there you go. Because I was like, what are you talking about? Laura Sanko was saying it in the fighter meetings, going, what is on the TV here? This stuff's wild. I'm like, no, they don't. They don't show anything like that. And then I saw it and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. It's the European flair, I guess. Is there any other big stories? I see a lot of people in the chat screaming, Rebecca. And we'll get Rebecca to jump on the show in just a second. Is there any other news stories that we need to get to that we haven't right now?
I wanted to get your take on this because I do think it might genuinely be the funniest thing possible. But Dan Hooker came out. You saw it in the cage in Perth. He called for a fight with Conor McGregor. He went in, talked to the Mac Life, and he said, yes, like I'm the biggest troll possible. How funny would it be if I snaked out Michael Chandler on this fight? But he did a follow-up with Submission Radio where he's like, look, at the end of the day, I'm in the top 5. Michael Chandler's not. I'm coming off of 3 wins. He's coming off of a loss. Like, my next fight as a top 5 guy is going to be a title eliminator. So if Conor McGregor does actually want to put himself in the championship picture, I'm the guy who should be fighting, not Michael Chandler.
That is, of course, great marketing by Dan Hooker. He's true and correct in what he says that, of course, he beat Jalen Turner last time. He was in the top 10. He just beat Mateusz Gamrot. Who is a highly ranked guy. I forget the ranking right now, but he's 6 or 7.
I think he was 5, and now Hooker's 5.
Wow. That's crazy. Fair play to Dan Hooker. Nobody had him down as that guy. Obviously, he lost to Dustin Poirier. Very close fight. Knocked out against Chandler, I think he went down to 145 for a little bit, right? Didn't do too well there. Arnold Allen knocked him out as well. Then came back up to 155. He was trying to find his weight class. Went down to 145 because he was struggling. Comes back up to 155 because that wasn't working out. And it's like, best days are behind you. And now here he is, not only beating one of the best strikers in Jalen Turner. Because I'm telling you, Jalen Turner is legit. Beats him at his own game, and then beats Mateusz Gamrot. It's unbelievable. Just goes to show, you know, it ain't over until the fat lady sings, until you succumb, until you say it's done, it's over, and then you step off the gas. Or you can reinvent yourself, dye your hair blonde, have a midlife crisis, get covered in tattoos, and start smoking everybody. No, it is. It's amazing. I don't think he's going to get a fight with Conor McGregor.
What's a more entertaining fight on paper to you? Like, yes, I understand you got to do the right thing by Michael Chandler, and we're not trying to take away his big payday. But on paper, what's the more entertaining fight? A guy like Dan Hooker, who's going to stand in the pocket and trade, who is, you know, he's got a broken arm against Jalen Turner, keeps coming out for rounds 2 and 3 and grits out a decision, or a guy like Michael Chandler, who always in his back pocket will be able to take a round off by snatching Conor McGregor's legs, wrestling him to the ground, and keeping him there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I understand what you're saying. Stylistically, on paper, 2 strikers, but I think the anticipation with Chandler and McGregor is probably still high. I don't know. Maybe put a poll up and ask people, you know, what they think, you know, because I am genuinely curious to that. Chandler's a better promoter. Chandler's a better talker. You know, Chandler's definitely harnesses all of that WWE stuff. You know what I mean? So I would assume who wins at UFC 306, 76% say Sugar Sean O'Malley. Of course. There's
and
no, you know. And
the other poll in there was should Henry Cejudo go back down to 125? 60% of the believers say no.
Right, yeah, because it's going to be tough. Just put that up, though, about what would they prefer, Chandler or Hooker? Because I'd be very surprised if it is Hooker. I understand what you're saying. You know, Hooker, a striker versus a striker makes for a great matchup. But Conor's had very, very exciting fights. The real question is Conor going to fight at the end of the year? We've had that conversation a million times, so we're not going to go through it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Do we have video questions to go through as well, Brian, or probably not?
Yeah, I got 2 questions loaded up here.
Okay, well, we'll do those at the end, and we'll go through any big questions that you guys put in. Super chats, maybe. Rebecca, come here. There's a lot of people in the chat typing out in all caps, Rebecca. I don't know where or why they would do such a thing. They do. Come and say hi to Harrington for a second. First question is.
I need to hear.
What?
I need to hear.
Oh, you do need to hear. And you will have capability. We're going to share headphones.
Hi, Harrington.
Go over
Hi, Rebecca.
this way,
How are
is
you?
it a bit?
Good.
Come this way.
How are you?
I'm great.
What do we think of Harrington's shirt?
I love a bit of tie-dye. Michael's not a fan of tie-dye.
I like solid colors, black,
colours.
strong colors. I don't need an explosion
at
the dye factory, you know. Jeez Louise.
I did this myself. I'm pretty proud of this.
Yes,
Did you? Good job. I like it.
Yeah, that's become our new thing. You go to the outlets, you get the stuff on clearance in all white, and then tie-dye it and make it look cool.
Yeah, go to Hobby Lobby.
I'm trying to see if there's any good questions. Do we have a non-MMA? Give us that story, Harrington, what you put in the chat about the Disneyland thing. Because Disneyland is an amazing place to go on vacation, right? The kids absolutely love it. But the story I saw in the news was that families are going into debt. Just set the scene, please.
Yeah, so the new I can't remember the name of the credit bureau, but one of the credit bureaus came out and said that about 45% of people who take a family trip to Disney World are going into debt to do so. Right. So like I know, for instance, a buddy of mine just used Afterpay as like it's a credit thing that can charge up to like 35% interest. And he did like a $5,000 Disney vacation, on that. So it's like if that's not paid back in 90 days, the juice starts on that. And that seems to be more and more people's like approach to going to Disney.
Brian, give us just a one shot of me and Rebecca while we have a quick chit chat about this.
Disney, we have opinions.
well, we do have opinions. I mean, Disneyland's great. It's great. It's awesome. The kids love it. But who in their right mind is going to Disneyland for a week? That's
For a
what I
week.
want to know.
I mean, we love it, and the kids loved it when they were younger, but a day was long enough for us.
No, it is.
It's long enough.
No, it's great.
And
Don't
it's
get
the
me
best
wrong.
day ever.
We went in 2008 with the kids.
Yeah.
They were all excited. They were looking forward to it. By the end, you are exhausted. You are shattered. You've had enough. The lines, the heat here in California or in Florida.
We were coming from England too.
Yeah. You know,
We had an earthquake.
We had an earthquake. I couldn't dream of doing a week.
I can imagine they'd have to mix it up. You'd go for a few hours, then you'd go back to the hotel and luxuriate around by the pool for a little bit, maybe get lunch, maybe go back later. Like you couldn't do a week full days. There's not enough to do.
Listen, the kids, it was the highlight of the trip for them. You put me in Disneyland for a week, I'm choking out Mickey Mouse. Do you know what I mean? The Disney princesses, Goofy, all of them. I'm just going to be sitting at the bar, having a beer, saying, suit yourself. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like you.
Harrington, what would you do in Disneyland for a week? Jump on, please. Oh, that's a one shot of Harrington.
Well, I mean,
Nobody wants that.
No, God, no, not even me. I would probably, you got to spend at least a day just doing the tour of Epcot. I mean, that's like, I could find my fill on that just between the food options. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, as far as like rides and having a good time, I'm probably spending 4 out of the 7 days of that week at Universal Studios.
Whoa. Yeah. All right, Brian, we've got a couple of questions. Is there any breaking news?
Sorry, I was listening to the Sean interview. Sean O'Malley.
Right.
He had a personal chef 12 weeks out. Why didn't you have a personal chef 12 weeks out? That would have made my life so much easier.
I do have a personal chef. No, but all jokes aside.
Why didn't you have a personal chef?
That's what you bring to the table.
I'm not a professional.
No, you're very, very good.
He's going to be superhuman with everything he's doing.
I know. We were talking before about Gillian McKeith going through the poo.
Oh, gosh.
Remember that show?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That was good car crash TV.
It was disgusting.
It was disgusting because they used to show it.
Yeah, no, she put a pair of gloves on and go through it. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about that. They're going to throw up in their mouth. Brian, do we have any video questions this week to end the show on?
Yes. This first one is from a guy who did not leave his name, but I'm just going to nickname him The Brick Wall.
BYM, love the show. Got a question for you, Bisping. Why do all the British fighters now come out to the red and white flag? And when you fought, you had the flag that was red, white, and blue. I don't know the difference. Maybe I could just Google it. But anyway, love the show. Anthony, pull for you all the time.
All right. Brick wall. Allow me to elaborate. Get rid of Harrington. We don't need him here for this one. What he's talking about there, the red and white flag is what?
The St. George's?
Yeah, the St. George's Cross. The red, white, and blue flag is called the Union Jack. The St. George's Cross is the flag of England. The Union Jack represents UK, Ireland, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. So it incorporates all the colours. A lot of fighters, like if you're Scottish, they'll go out with the Scottish flag because they're proud to be Scottish. English fighters, they'll come out with the St. George because they're proud to be English, Welsh, so on and so forth.
So how come you came out with the Union Jack?
I would love to say that, it's simply because, there's no division in me and it's the United Kingdom. And that is partly why, but also I'm not that deep. That was the only flag I could find. But that's a little history lesson for you. But there it is. There it is. Brian, what else do we have?
All right, we got another question that came in today from Brad.
Hello, Mike, Anthony and Brian. It's Brad coming to you from the world's breakdancing capital. A question for Lionheart or Mikey B. I was just watching the movie Roadhouse with our good friend Conor McGregor. And it's got me wondering, can you guys think of an injury that might actually come with a silver lining? After watching Conor walk around like he has a titanium rod in his shin bone, another one firmly up his backside, I was wondering, if I only had one eye, would the movie have only looked half as bad? Anyway, guys, love the podcast. It's the perfect blend of entertainment and analysis. Gets me through many a long shift. Thanks, guys.
Can I just say something? I knew he was going to be Australian before he even spoke.
He looked like he was coming at us from. He looked like he was in prison.
That's like a work outfit. That's what like the tradies wear. That's
the tradies.
That's the tradies. That's like they wear the luminous orange.
Harrington, you can jump on as well. It feels weird just me and Rebecca being on like this. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's too much.
We're married. It's okay.
No, I know. What was his question? Oh. Look, listen, fair play. Was it the best movie of all time? No, it wasn't. Was it super successful? Yes, it was. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about it.
Have you seen it?
I started watching it on a plane. I fell asleep. When I woke up, I wasn't compelled to go and see the rest of it. He did come at me when he was filming that for some reason and start talking shit about my extensive acting career.
What did he say?
He said, I remember that one show you did back in the day. Yeah, neither do I. And then went on about him being on Roadhouse. I was like, bro, I've done 60 movies. What are you talking about? 4 yet to be released. Harrington, you're dying to say something. Say it.
Well, the actual question, right, without him being, kind of a smarmy, throwing in subtle digs at a certain Irishman, was, has an injury ever helped a fighter's career? And I would argue RDA getting his jaw busted and having, the titanium put in there certainly improved his chin, and he did go on to become a champion after that. So I would say that's the one I can think of where it definitely helped his career.
Rafael dos Santos had a titanium chin. What are you talking about?
He got his jaw broken, and there was like titanium plating put in there to like fix his broken jaw, and he literally had a better chin from that point on.
I find that to be circumstantial. I guarantee.
What's circumstantial? You don't think that's true?
I don't think the reason that he went on and continued to have a great career was because he had surgery on his jaw.
He might have made his jaw tougher, stronger.
I don't think so. You don't get knocked out because you got a titanium jaw, right? If you get clinked in the face, on the nose, on the head, on the temple, because you've got a little piece of metal, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's just not. And anytime you operate on something, it gets weaker. You never, ever want to operate. Like my neck, I'm supposed to have surgery on Tuesday. What a shit show that is, isn't it, babe?
It is.
It is. It is.
It is.
They're saying it might have to be 3 surgeries.
Yeah,
3 surgeries. Yeah, because they did this heat scan and it shows where the pain's coming from and where they were going to operate. There was pain coming from there. But it doesn't just show there. It shows top, middle, bottom, everywhere. It's like, your neck's destroyed. And I'm like, give me a titanium neck. I can go on and become champion of the world. Not talking about Sean O'Malley just a second ago. Like hearing how, and you said a second ago, he's so disciplined and dedicated. When I hear stuff like that, that makes me kind of wish I could redo my career all over again.
I know what you're saying, but your career was, a while ago. So those types of things weren't as available as what they are now.
No,
they're very easily. You just didn't do it.
No, they were, and I just kind of glossed over it because I was like, "Shut up! You're not taking my blood. You're not doing." No, but I did because
I thought it just wasn't like as popular, and people just didn't really do it as much.
No, it's because I was just like, "Listen, I'm going to go and fight someone. I don't need you like looking at my blood work and doing this and doing that." No, at the end of the day, if it's going to go down and hit the fan, I was like, I'm just going to do my work in the gym, and I don't need all that stuff. But I do wish I could do it all over again. What were you going to say, Harrington?
Well, it feels like a product also of entering the UFC at such a young age like O'Malley did, right? Like it feels like he got that kind of like, he got a lot of immaturity out of the way, like a lot of the, like you were talking about, right? Smoking weed and following the trucks and putting up funny videos and trying to become an influencer. Like he did all those things, and now he's at a point in his career where he's like, okay, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like this career does have a shelf life. What can I do? You saw Kobe Bryant do it. LeBron James has done it. Like you see these superstar athletes at a higher level that O'Malley grew up with, taking those same precautions. Tom Brady with the TB12 thing, right? Like all these guys can see an aging athlete taking precautions for their body, and that example just wasn't there for you, right? Like Larry Bird's big thing was, I'm going to stop drinking beer during the season, and all of a sudden he puts up an extra, 15 points. It's like, like that. Just it's a different kind of athlete example set for you, I think.
Yeah, no, and to your point as well, Rebecca, it is 2024. I signed with the UFC in 2006. or 5. You know, so it's 20 years ago, pretty much. You know what I mean? And the landscape has changed. The sport is way more popular with the Performance Institute. There's a lot more science added into it. And, you know, they delve deeper into the physiology of the human body and how to make you the better fighter, how to cut weight better. I did like what Sean O'Malley said about weight cutting. I hate the culture of weight cutting. That was why I did it, because everybody else was doing it. And that's why O'Malley's doing it. But he's right. He's 156, 155. Merab's going to be the same weight. They're both going to kill themselves the day before and then go fight each other. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to fight someone that's weighing 170 or 175, 180, you know, depending on what the weight cut is. It's just this weird culture that hopefully we fix one day. Anyway, is there any super chats we need to get to? Then we'll wrap this one up real quick. The live shows are Monday and Thursday. The usual videos will be in the video section at 9 p.m. Pacific, because a lot of people weren't realizing that the live and on the YouTube channel, you got to press the live tab. And I was getting a lot of DMs from people going, where's the show? Where's the show? Well, it's only available if you watch it live. No. So when you see the video, the re-upload of the live, don't be like, oh, why are you posting it? It's like, because some people don't go to the live section. That's all it is. Anyway, do we have any super chats we need to address real quick? Zachary Stein says, Mike, as someone with experience, Tiki Golson, what's your opinion on the Sean Strickland allegations? Listen, I know when to stay out of stuff.
No comment.
There's a big no comment on that one. Jim is burning. Thoughts on Rocco saying he'd smash you in a karate combat tournament on Rampage's podcast with President Awesome. Am I going to take that? Listen, my life has worked out great. I've got this beautiful lady sitting next to me. I've had a long, illustrious career. I made money. I've set myself up for other endeavors. You know, life is going great. Money in the bank, 3 beautiful children, beautiful wife. Luke Rockall's out there losing at grappling tournaments, and God knows what he's doing. Still acting weird on social media. Okay, so fill your boots, talk all the shit you want. Just keep that same energy if you ever bump into me in person.
I like your answer.
You like my answer?
I do.
What would you have done if I went like totally the other way?
I mean, calm down. It's not happening.
Yeah. I put that one back. What was that question? Swansea. What was it? Swansea run from Cardiff. Bluebirds. Okay. All right, Ellis. Cam says, will we ever get a DJ Mikey B X Peyton Talbot song? Not a song. Maybe a mix one day, though. I always said I'm going to do Rebecca a mix.
You've done me a few mixes.
I've done you a few mixes. I'll do
we're good.
I'll do another one soon. Yeah. I'll do another one soon. We've got 1 or 2 more, or is that it? Mr. Bisping, Frank from Long Island. You're locked in the room with Brian and Harrington. 2-on-1, but could only use one arm. Who walks out and how long?
It's a pretty easy answer. Mikey B walks out pretty swiftly.
So you've only got one arm.
Yeah.
Against let's
not give this too much of our attention. The question I want to ask is that when we do finally get down to doing a BYM live, which we will do, are we going to see Harrington and Brian have a power slap competition? That was talked about for a while.
I'm not doing that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Harrington's up for it.
Harrington's well up for it. Anything for a bit of stage time. All right. That is the show. We will be back on Monday with Anthony Smith. Who else? Who we got lined up for the show? We got a few guests lined up for Monday. Never mind. Don't announce it. Let it be a big secret. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting what we do. Tell your friends all that good stuff. Like and subscribe the channel, please. And we will see you soon.